Hey y'all, it's the last day of Black History Month and it's Leap Day. And we are about to leap into this past weekend's episode of WoW, where we saw unlikely friendships and alignments, and amazing matchups between Tiki Chamorro, who has returned from a mysterious kidnapping, and we get an amazing main event with tag team action. This is Steph and Kat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the faith, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate.
Hey y'all, it's the vibe. Welcome to Steph and Kat Talk WoW, where we of course get into the action of the hottest all women's wrestling show on television, together right here every Wednesday unless otherwise stated. We are here to get into some women's wrestling for you guys. Happy Leap Day, happy last day of Black History Month, and all of the things. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, contributing writer for Daily DDT, as well as color commentator. Book your girl, book your girl, book your girl, all 2024. But of course, I am not alone. I am here with the fabulous tag team partner that I am happy to have. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust, the creator of the Women of Color in Wrestling panel, as well as contributing writer for Daily DDT and all other platforms that she does write for, and she's a super mom. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
I'm all right, not too bad. Very happy that I got to see the collage that we both on with some of the other awesome women, uh, Black women in wrestling, and I was very honored, truly, to be a part of that. So that was definitely a highlight of my day, considering how my day's going. Definitely a highlight of my day.
Absolutely. And for those who may or may not know what we're talking about, there is a creator in the Black wrestling community by the name of Brian F. Pro, who makes all kinds of beautiful graphics throughout the year for different wrestling talents, for different events and such. And every year, for just about every month that there is, that specifically celebrates different cultures of people, he creates different collages of wrestlers and creators in the wrestling space. And today he released his collage of Black women wrestlers and creators in the space, and one tomato, but we won't go get into that today. And it highlighted all of us, including Katrina and myself, and a lot of our different friends in the space and different wrestlers. And it was so beautiful. So we are so happy and honored to be included in that for yet another year, because of course we are out here doing the work and doing the very best that we can in this wrestling content creator space. So it's such an honor to be a part of it. So thank you, Brian F. Pro, if you're watching this or will watch this later, for including us in this space, and just for continuing to show a highlight to every person of color that you do every single month, and for every event that you do, because your work is impeccable and it's beautiful. And I don't know if you hear that quite enough, but just know that we are saying that we love the work that you do. So it was really great to see that, and really nice. So, Katrina, since this is the last day of Black History Month in this year of 2024, what I'm going to ask you is, how does it feel to be a part of a growing community of Black women in the wrestling world as a creator or an athlete, ring announcer, and all the things that you are?
I think it's pretty cool. When I feel like I spoke about this like on the panels, but also with some people that I've been very fortunate to interview over the last 3 years or so. Like, growing up, there weren't too many options of, Black women in general in wrestling. Just they weren't. And then you think of like, you know, I was a WWE girl. So, there was Jazz, there was Jackie, there were other people, but when you saw as far as like the women that were kind of mainstream or, pushed to a degree, there were not many at all. And so to now kind of be in a space that I didn't originally plan to be. And I know that sounds kind of weird to say, but like originally it wasn't the plan to be in it this like deep now. Um, to kind of be in it now where you kind of get to see like black women referees and more black women announcers and more black women on commentary and more women, black women, that just fits a very different, like it's not, and this is nothing to anybody who is more, I guess, muscular. And I say this because, like I said, Jackie had arms, and I know Sis was able to really put down to people if she really needed to. But like, there's a range now of the type of black woman wrestler we see that is a mix of a Bianca, who is just all unapologetically black, and you have Samantha, and who has fantastic um like cadence when she's ring announcing, and apparently has an amazing voice as well. And so to be just in a space, even though I'm not in that like mainstream space, but just to be in that space with those, like, in the likes of those people and those women, and then even to be in the space with people more closer closer to where I am in the space with the indies, or even if it's like, more the smaller promotions that I'm seeing more of us. It's great. I think, seeing that collage today really just once again, like, oh man, we out here. um, we're out here and we're doing things, and we're doing awesome things. I think, like, um that's always something that if I feel like when I'm questioning where am I feeling in the space, if it's a space I can be in like another year, is it a space that if I'm even sure I want to be in, whatever, that was a very nice reminder that even 3 4 years ago there was a lot less uh black women, and then we have a lot more. And obviously you want all the doors open, and you want um more of us as possible, and unfortunately just you can't get everybody, but you want it to be as many black women as possible that can share in whatever their role may be. um I think it's great. I think we've come a long way. I do think we still got a long way to go, but I do think we've come a long way, even for a few years ago, as far as how many women that kind of looked like me were in the space. And so I'm actually happy that it seems like we're kind of moving forward. And it seems like, again, we're going to have guys who's, people who are weird about it and question our knowledge, because we all get that. Women in general get that, but in particular, I feel like it's a little bit always harder for us anyway. We have to be like the Beyonce of everything, and I say that just because Beyonce is like a perfectionist and wants things to be a certain way, and so we have to be the Beyonce in everything that we do, or it's automatically negated, no matter if you had one bad day or one bad show, whatever the case may be. And so hopefully get past that at some point where we can slip up or make a mistake, and we can do so with grace. Um, but I am still very grateful to be in a space, but also to see that we are definitely have more than we did even just a few years ago.
Absolutely. That is something that I even spoke to when I saw the collage, was because during this month, something that I am happy that I was inspired to do was a Black Herstory post every day. And when I tell you I fought with myself every other day to figure out who to do, who I could do, who I couldn't do, and all this stuff, like it was really hard because it's a good problem to have when you run out of Black women to Black women to highlight, because there's just so many of us across so many platforms. Because it's like you said, when we were growing up, once upon a time, it was just only so few. You had Jacqueline, you had Jazz, you even had Crystal, you had Shaniqua, but it was still so few that, and you even had Alicia Fox, Vix Crow now. But there were still so few of us that you could point out. But now you have your Trinities, your Mercedes, and so many other women in the indies, and even on WoW here, who we were fortunate enough to talk to this month. And the fact that there are so many women now across all platforms is just such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful problem to have in comparison to what it once was a long time ago, where there would be like maybe 5 years or a decade before we saw another one on the mainstream level. And I am so grateful that we've gotten to that point. And even now, it's gotten more diverse where you see more of us in different places, you know, behind the scenes. And it's a beautiful thing. Like, of course there are still your issues that you do have systematically that we have to rise above, but the way that we rise above it is continuing to raise our voices and use our voices for good. And it is such a wonderful thing, and being and celebrating this month the way that we have done has been an amazing experience, and it is something that I will treasure forever. I love being a black woman in this space because I've said before, it feels like being a part of a sisterhood and a family of people who see you and who love you and appreciate you, even when others don't, at times. And you know that you have a family who you can fall back on when everything is just going crazy around you. So I'm really grateful to be a part of the community that we are a part of. And it makes me feel like I can keep going, and I can truly be myself, even if it makes others uncomfortable, and the right people will come. So I'm just really grateful this month to be a part of all of the black wrestling community, but definitely the black female wrestling community as well. And of course, we do still have a lot of work that we have to do on ourselves too. But in the midst of that, you know, we do continue to raise the bar and change the game by being ourselves unapologetically. And it is such a beautiful thing. And of course, shameless plug, if you have not watched our interviews that we did with the WoW superheroes, The Beast, Keto Rush, and Foxy Fears, please go ahead and watch those on both of our YouTube channels. They were amazing to do this month, and we were so honored to have them on to talk about their wrestling journeys and what their goals will be in the coming months on WoW superheroes. So please go on our YouTube channels and check all three of those interviews out. They're amazing. They were really great, and we were really honored to have them on. So, of course, in the comments, we have Eric Isaac, who's always watching, saying, hey. And then we also have Blake Griggs watching. Thank you, Blake, for watching and saying good evening. And for those, of course, who are watching on all of our live platforms on YouTube, Facebook, X, and anywhere else, thank you guys so much for watching, and comment. Feel free to share any of your favorite parts of this episode in the comments and just let us know how you feel about things shaking out in WoW. So we're moving into the episode proper, which was called it was called Be Careful What You Sow, and it aired this past weekend, which was February the 24th through the 25th. And here again during another amazing wrestling weekend where we did have Elimination Chamber coming on to shake up our Saturday mornings. But either way, you know, this wrestling show came on as well a little bit later, but either way, this is where we're at. So the episode started with a recap of the WoW Tag Team Championship match ending, and how it showed how Miami Sweet Heat won the tag team titles for a record-setting third time, and of course how it affected the Tonga twins afterward due to the shenanigans that they did in order to win the match. And of course, you know, the Fab Four is always going to get some shenanigans on to get what they want ultimately. So that's what happened there. And the show started with the Fab Four making an entrance with Miami Sweet Heat, Lana Star, Penelope Pink, and Vickie Lynn McCoy coming in looking really grossed out. And the reason why is because last week they showed how David McLane was accosted by Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag to get a tag team match with Penelope Pink and Vickie Lynn McCoy. And with their accosting, they made David McLane sign a contract on toilet paper. And this grossed the girls out in a very horrible way. And David McLane was mortified and embarrassed that they even brought that out there and told his business like that. Like, it was just really funny. So they seem to be really like grossed out about it. And Lana was like, David, what is this? Someone dropped this disgusting toilet paper off that says Vickie Lynn and Penelope are facing those nasty mother truckers tonight. This is unacceptable. And she went on to say, she went on to give the microphone to Penelope. So she said, so I feel like we're to blame for these losers being in this company. So it'll be our privilege to send them packing. And David said, Lana, it's a legal contract. It doesn't matter what it's signed on, it's legal. And Vickie Lynn said, you're disgusting for even touching it. And I was like, oh my God, y'all, this is bad. It was just really funny. But David was like, look, I couldn't help it. I did my best to get them out of the bathroom to leave me alone. And Vickie Lynn said, let me explain something to you, David. You know damn good and well I'm not back to 100% to compete in this match. But if me getting back in the ring prematurely without my doctor's clearance is what it takes to get rid of this trucker trash once and for all, then so be it. And you'll be hearing from my attorney. And that was the end of that promo. So, Katrina, seeing as you have a background in law, is it true that if you sign a contract on any sheet of paper is valid and legal?
I actually do recall that, it can be on like the most ridiculous things if it's signed, if there's an actual clear agreement, and nobody was like, drunk or in duress. I do believe it does count as a contract. I don't know if that's changed from when I was going to school for that, because that was a little bit ago for me. But I do remember my professor saying that during the time that if it's, it can be like on a index card or something. If it's actually an actual agreement, it's signed and dated, it can count as a contract.
Okay, well, that's really good knowledge to know because they kept saying it over and over again. And in my head, I'm like, this must be true if they keep reiterating it like this on TV. But of course, it's better to ask a person in real life if who has that background as opposed to just assuming that's something you can just do because you just never know. Somebody might actually try to do that in real life and be like, it's true because I saw it on Wow and blah, 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 blah. But but either way, I thought it was really funny, but they were really grossed out about it. But David clearly didn't have that much of a choice. He was afraid. So, hey, the contract is real. So they announced that they would be facing each other in the main event. So this led to match number one, which was between Adriana Gambino versus Princess Aussie. And Paige Prince of Ali was the referee in this match. But I do want to give her congratulations because she was also the referee at TNA's No Surrender in the match between Giselle Shaw and Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts Championship. So I thought that was a really interesting tidbit from this past weekend. So congratulations to her for reffing in two different companies. That's really great stuff. So of course, Adriana Gambino is looking to keep her undefeated streak, and she challenged Princess Aussie as a former champion and called into question her abilities now that, of course, she is back on the bottom of the ladder, if you could say that. No disrespect to Princess Aussie, but, that's just how things have shaken out now. So this match was really athletic and really good. Both girls locked up and Princess Aussie went for a suplex, but Adriana Gambino twisted Aussie's wrist and tried to injure her in that way. But Aussie rolled out of a lot of different moves that she had. It was a really good back and forth match between the two. Like, of course, you had Adriana Gambino's patented flexibility on display as she kicked Princess Aussie multiple times, especially in the ring corner, and kept kicking her in her head with those splits. And she even tried to hit her chef's kiss on her, but yet Princess Aussie kicked out of that, which doesn't normally happen a lot of the time. Usually when she hits the chef's kiss, that ends the match. But Princess Aussie is built different, like we always say on this show, because we love her. She was built different and she didn't give up a lot of the time. And Princess Aussie locked in that amazing submission, the Indian Deathlock, even though there is a different name for it now. And I can't recall it at the moment, but she locked that in. But Princess Aussie wound up not locking it in all the way, or I believe Adriana raked her eyes or, bit her thumb so she could get out of it. But in the end, Princess Aussie wound up losing because Adriana Gambino slammed Aussie's face and then pinned her while holding on to the tights. So Adriana Gambino still is undefeated, but due to a little bit of a helpmate in the fact that she grabbed Princess Aussie's tights, and Princess Aussie looked really devastated by that. But of course, if the ref does not see it, then it counts as a 3 count. So that's really sad. But Adriana Gambino is still undefeated. But in this back and forth match, I thought it was really funny that since Princess Aussie had her number more more than any other opponent that Adriana Gambino has had at this point, Adriana had to move forward with a negative tactic in order to win. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both ladies and the outcome of it?
I thought it was a good match. I felt in this regard, we've been saying Adriana Gambino, has literally, I don't know what she's been doing when she was gone, but she's kind of been on a bit of a tear as far as every match. She's pretty much stayed on her game, stayed on top. And so I did notice that it did seem that Princess Aussie was just slightly more prepared. I'm not sure why, if it's just because she studied it, her, considering she is undefeated, or it's just because she's Princess Aussie and Princess Aussie, puts her, her best foot forward in everything she does. And so I do think she did have her number. And I think honestly that was the reason why Adriana like did that every other match, even if she was being aggressive, even if she was being, with kicks and the more rough than she was previously, she's haven't pinned anybody that way. And so that tells me that there might have been a little bit of fear there on her end. And she felt like, okay, it could have very well went a whole different way if Princess Aussie would have got her lock in. As we have seen, many a time so far kind of tap out to that. And I think maybe that's why she did it. It's like if I can just the referee not see it, it can be done. And it's unfortunate for Princess Aussie because I feel like she just keeps getting the short end of the stick here. Honestly, I think she has ever since. It's like we wanted her to be champion, and maybe you a little bit more. And I say this only because you had your beef with Penelope, and everything, but we wanted her, her to be a champion, and then she got it. And I felt like ever since that she has gotten that belt, it's just been really weird things happening. It's nothing that's been great, like the title being taken and not she getting the complete celebration the way she probably should have gotten it, and then to have be put in a, trying to, do the good right thing and defend her championship, to then be put in a 5 woman match for somebody who she has never wrestled previously, to come in and win off of like nothing, and then to kind of have it again where it was just like a lot of cheating stuff involved. And so this I feel bad. I feel like in her case she has not had good luck since she became champion, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what needs to change, but I don't know if she needs to kind of reset it or refocus on something. But I just feel like she has not been on the upswing the way she should have been, being a former champion and all.
Yeah, I actually agree with you in that regard. Like there is something that's sort of, like a dark cloud over her head, in a sense, when it comes to her championship and everything that happened with that and everything that's happening now. And it's really crazy how that's going on. Cause it's like Princess Aussie is such a talented girl that you would think she would have bounced back even quicker. And then in the midst of that championship thing, she lost her friend, Candy Crush, who we'll get to in a little while in this episode because she had a whole lot to say. And it's just like with everything that Princess Aussie gained, it seems like she's still lost a lot in the midst of it. So I think what she might need to do is just get her confidence back a little and just be and sort of sharpen her vision and be on all cylinders, because a lot of these people who she's fighting are using dirty tactics. And maybe like in the sense of like we were talking about with Santana Garrett and Americana, it might take getting a little bit dirty and playing the same game as your opponent to sort of get back at them and get in their head to let them know, like, I see you and I see what's going on, but you are not going to pull the okey doke on me. Maybe that's what it'll take. But either way, I mean, she does need to get some of her confidence back after dealing with loss after loss in that way. And honestly, I just feel like she should probably just look out for herself a little bit more. And, that can give you more encouragement than you would think in that regard. But yeah, maybe that's what she needs to do, because Princess Aussie definitely deserves to have more opportunity her way when it comes to that title and getting, more of a chance for that. But of course she'll have to work her way back up there. So you hate to see it, but Adriana Gambino is still undefeated, even though it's a little bit of a tainted undefeatedness. But you know, she's still undefeated. So now we have to see where she's going to be, and if she will actually be able to be next in line to challenge Abilene Maverick, because she hasn't said anything, you know, towards Abilene since she's gotten some more of these victories. And I do think that's interesting, but we got to wait and see how that shakes out. So, after that match, backstage, we heard from Rebel Haze, who we saw shredding the guitar. And then we saw Fury, the heavy metal sister, going back there with her and rocking out and head banging. And I was just like, oh my God, this is great. Like, this is just the thing that I love, where you have both of these girls who love to rock hard, and seeing Rebel Hayes play the guitar just, you know, tapped something within me, as a former guitar girl, and I was just like, yes, rock out, let's do it. And watching Fury bang her head too, I was just like, yes, this is the content we need. And so they were hyping each other up, you know, for their tag team match. So this led to match number 2, which was the Disciplinarian and the Classmaster with Samantha Smart, Team IQ Superior versus Fury and Rebel Haze. And of course, as Team IQ Superior was making their entrance, they kept getting booed by the audience because don't nobody like them. And you hate to see it, but yeah, nobody likes him. And speaking of Black History Month, we show love to the Disciplinarian as well. But nobody likes them and stuff. But when it comes to the heavy metal and the rock personas, they love them. So this match was pretty hard hitting, between all of these women, because between Fury and between the Classmaster and Disciplinarian, they are all imposing athletes. But then you have Rebel, who's sort of the new kid. Well, you can't really say she's a new kid because also the Classmaster is a new kid too, but then the Classmaster outside of WoW has a past, you know, in wrestling as well. But either way, it was a very hard hitting affair. The Disciplinarian, you know, gave a whole lot of punishment to Rebel Hayes, and they did an amazing job, you know, isolating Rebel from Fury. But then once Fury finally did get tagged in, she definitely made a whole lot of difference in the match. It was really good until, of course, Samantha Smart started interfering on Team IQ Superior's behalf. And anytime the referee had his back turned, she kept using that yardstick to attack Rebel and choke her out, and even doing the same to Fury a number of times. And it was just irritating. But sadly, even though Rebel Hayes and Fury had all kinds of moves to try to to attack the Disciplinarian and the Classmaster, like that double suplex that we did see, and even a double super kick that I saw as well. Like, they were operating on all cylinders. They still couldn't get the upper hand on Team IQ Superior, and the Disciplinarian hit Rebel with a TKO driver, and Samantha was choking out Fury with the yardstick, and she and the Disciplinarian wound up getting the pin. So Team IQ Superior won the match. And then Samantha cut a promo saying, if you did not think you got the message before, let's make it clear now. I am the only leader of this pack. I am the leader. And we made that very clear to G.I. Jane, who took offense to that and ran out there with a chair to attack Team IQ Superior, who scattered away like roaches to raid, and just got away from her even with that chair. So that was really interesting, and it's pretty clear that their beef with G.I. Jane is not over. So Katrina, how did you feel about the tag team match, and how did you feel about what Team IQ Superior had to say to G.I. Jane after she said she needed to stand on her own 2 feet?
I wasn't surprised. Like, we know they felt the way about, and I mean, I said this already about Samantha just having a match like that, and then you guys feeling like she got too big for britches. Like, girl, this is the match you wanted to have. Like, how are you mad that she won a match that you kind of set forward? And so I thought they would make a, especially because they won. I just felt they were going to make some smart ass comments. Excuse me, language. Um, I knew they would. I felt like, as we, even with the last situation, the way that went down last week, they were gonna, it's not done. It's not over. And so them saying that wasn't surprised. It probably didn't help with the audience because they were being booed. Um, And, to be fair, with Rebel and Fury, this was the first time they tagged together. And while they both have the love of rock and metal in their mixed up in their tag team, this is the first time they worked together. And so they did well considering. But for me, when I have to compare two tag teams, I would usually hope, not like that I want the other team to lose, but I would hope that the team that's usually longer should have better chemistry. That should have figured out chemistry at some point before a team that just kind of got put together that day. So I wasn't surprised that they won, but I felt like all of that to still talk smack is just like, but again, who was doing, like, Samantha, this was your idea. Like, you're mad because she decided, like, all right. And then you turn on her and now she kind of has to. And to be fair, Samantha was smart enough to have three ladies who again have some size to them. Like, they got height and some weight. So it's not like GI, Jane can like just flip both of them around like she might have done somebody else in the roster. But I also know that GI Jane's necessarily not going to back down. So I thought it was a good match, but I wasn't surprised by IQ. I just don't know, like, Samantha. I'm like, girl, like, was this not your idea? Like, am I was the idea not, in the room when you decided it and decided like, nah, never mind. I don't really like this outcome. Like, I don't know what she expected to happen after the matchup that she kind of suggested that who was going to be the next, like, the person underneath her. It's like, this was your match, girlie. Why are you upset with the winner? Like, why make a match if you was worried that you might not have gotten the winner you wanted? Or what if you didn't like anybody thinking they were second in command? What if you just want to be you and you're just pretending to be a group effort? I don't know, but otherwise, match was good.
Yeah, it seems like a manipulation tactic on the side of Samantha Smart. It's like she said at one point she wanted to see who could rise up and be the leader of the pack, and then the minute somebody did, she just wanted to test them and then knock them back down to size and humble them. Like, it really felt like maybe it was a manipulation tactic from her. And when one actually did rise up in the form of G.I. Jane, she didn't like it. And so she was just like, nah, like, you're not this and you're not that. And now that she still has the disciplinarian and the classmaster who's jealous of her for rising up above, it's like she's still sort of manipulating them to lash out at GI Jane. And it's just like, yo, this is crazy. But I'm glad that GI Jane really did rise up and decide that she was enough on her own, because she really is. She's a formidable superhero on her own, and she doesn't need a group to define her and her identity. So she is the discipline. She is that girl already, so she doesn't need them. So I'm glad that she did that, and I'm glad that she went in there ready for war with the chair. I mean, hello, Montgomery Brawl, let's do it. So I thought it was cool. So I thought it was amazing that she was going to go in there and let them know what's really going on. She's a drill sergeant. Like, she is the leader of the pack naturally. So it made sense. Now, the match was really good. I do think that Rebel and Fury do have some things to work on, because, yeah, they, like you mentioned, you were right about that. They have a lot of stuff in common when it comes to the heavy metal lifestyle. But in ring, they had lots of great potential, but they're really going to have to like tweak a whole lot in order to really like rise up to the ranks, if that's something that they really want to do as a team. Because at one point, Fury did say that she wants to go for the Wild World title. You can't necessarily do that if you have, or if you're a part of a tag team. Not saying that you can't do both, because you clearly can do both, and multitask, because women are great at that. But it's just, I don't know. We just have to wait and see if maybe Fury has changed her mind about going after the title, or maybe she just wants to, have a little bit of more fun, tag team fun, as well as, do the title thing. But either way, the match was good. I enjoyed it. It was very powerful on both ends of the teams. So it was really great. I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm going to need for Team IQ Superior to chill out. Like, I just really need them to chill out a bit, okay? Um, so after that, we moved on to our third match of the night, which was Gloria Glitter versus Tiki Chamorro. Now, hilariously enough, the last time we heard from Tiki Chamorro was when she was apparently kidnapped by a certain group of people, but apparently she was set free, and now she's back, and it's really good that she's back, because we did miss her. And she was taking on Gloria Glitter, who is still trying to find her footing after being dealt a defeat. So This match was really good. And of course, we've praised Gloria Glitter multiple times about her wrestling ability, of course, because outside of WoW, she's an amazing wrestler as well, known as Delilah Doom. But Tiki Chamorro really showed and proved why we should definitely keep our eyes on her as a rising star in this season of WoW, because the way she was able to stand toe to toe with Gloria Glitter throughout this match impressed the crap out of me. And that's not to say that she wasn't good before, but Miss Mamas really kept up with her throughout this entire match. She came in and ducked the attack that Gloria Glitter initially went on in the very beginning. Like, Gloria was ready to swing on her immediately, but Tiki ducked it and moved out of the way and hit her with a Fez press that I'm pretty sure Trish Stratus would love, and went on the attack to Gloria. And it was just great throughout. Like, she continued to attack her, continued to hit her with all kinds of combos. And she even pounced her, which reminded me a lot of Willow Nightingale. And I was just like, come on, Tiki. Like, come through and show us your abilities that you've been working on. Now, mind you, Tiki is, of course, a former rugby player, so that isn't new to her, because rugby is almost like the same toughness of American football. But she was really showing it here. She even did like a springboard elbow to Gloria Glitter's face, even hitting her with a running knee. Like, she was definitely giving her the business. And it seemed that a lot of her ability started to show even more once the Tonga twins, Kona and Chaos, came out to be her moral support. And this was really surprising to me, because at one point they did sort of give off the impression that maybe they were too busy for her, but then also at this, when they were champions, but then now that they're not the champions anymore, they're supporting her. But let me not do all that. It was still positive and on the up and up, because Tiki proceeded to fight through and beat Gloria Glitter after a Tiger Fate kick, and hit her with a coconut crusher and won the match. So Tiki Chamorro got us an astounding and amazing win here. And then she cut a promo on Gloria Glitter, saying, "Glitter, you may be the cardio queen, but I'm the fire of the islands and a sister of the island dynasty and the daughter of Guam. So eat coconuts." And then she did her um cry. I'll say that. She did her ancestral Guam cry, and it was really cool. And then David McLane tried to do it, and I was just like, oh my god, David, no. But either way, it was really nice. And then Kona and Chaos lifted her up on their shoulders to celebrate the victory further, and it was really good. Eric in the comments saying congrats to Tiki, and with the Tongas behind her, and Jock saying Gloria with a sad face, because Gloria is his fave. I know, but you can't win them all. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of Tiki Chamorro?
Oh, I thought it was great. We were a little concerned, a few weeks ago about Tiki and the matches. It seemed like, she tried really hard, but, it just didn't really necessarily go the way we or she wanted it to go. And so the fact that, with Gloria being, because she's a bit aggressive, like she has the whole happy disposition, where she's like 80s exercise video class vibes, but she's a bit aggressive, she's a bit rough when she's actually in the ring. And so for Tiki to kind of come out and be prepared for that was like kudos to her. I don't know if she was like prepping for that, but I thought that was like really cool. And the fact that, she really, I felt like this is probably the first time for me that I really saw, like, I don't want to say that, 'cause I feel like she was still very nice during it, but she definitely had a bit more like aggression, maybe a little bit more fire, maybe it was a fire lit. And I was like, yes, Tiki, that's what we was waiting for. Like, I'm glad you came and did what you need to do. I know what you was gonna say about the Tongas, because I kind of agreed there. I was like, just I'm always a little funny when, like, if we're homies or we're fam or whatever the case may be, then you be there no matter what, unless you like. And obviously you can't always, like everybody knows, this is life. Life happens. You can't always 100% of the time be there for your friends or your family. Life, as we say, life's all a lot. But with that being said, that a decent friend or a good family member, blood or not, will try their very hardest to be there. And I didn't particularly like how they were with her necessarily the last time she was like there. I felt like it was a bit dismissive. I don't really like being dismissed personally. And so I don't know, like why it was nice that they came out and supported. I'm like, well, girls, can we have not did this as champions? I think it would have been even a better statement. Might have gave her even some more, impromptu to want to be more aggressive because you guys are, champions and you guys are also pretty rock solid in the ring. That might have boosted up her confidence a little bit sooner. So I did kind of like, I don't know. Now you feel like you got nothing to do or something, and now you just want to come on in. Like we was like, what happened to you 2 3 weeks ago? Like that I did think that I did. But I'm also very loyal, a very loyal person, and so maybe that's why I'm like, I don't know. I personally would be all in, like not in. I wouldn't cheat, but like the level of I'll be talking some smack on outside the ring, like we're not doing this with my people. It's not my girls, so that that's just me being extra. So I was like, yeah, I should have been the same. But I mean, I guess if you got it together this past week, okay, I guess. But I definitely did side eye that. I was like, I don't know, girls, because I like you guys. I do. I love y'all. But don't be now. You got time, but you didn't have time before. Like it took a couple of minutes. You don't even need to be like a couple of minutes to just give us confidence. I don't know. I didn't particularly like that, but otherwise, maybe this means that they will focus more on her. No, or, be a better sisters to her. I don't know. But otherwise, I was very, very happy and proud of Tiki. I thought she really did her thing, and I'm hoping this is what she keeps going forward. Even her having her cry and like kind of, and this is even her promo afterwards was definitely more aligned with her and not so much aligned with the fact that she was supposed to be like they were like the sisters because culturally very similar culture. This was definitely just for her, and I like that as well. It's like, yes, stand on it, stand on business, as we say. This is just that's it. It's the time, girly, and so I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it as well. And I just feel like just because you get an accomplishment doesn't mean you have to be brand new with your friends. Like, that is the type of behavior that I just can't necessarily stand. Not to harp on the negative, because it is great that Kona and Chaos were out there with Tiki to be her moral support. But to agree with your sentiment, like, it would have been even greater if they did the same thing while they were champion instead of being brand new and acting like they didn't have time for her. Like, that was just really bad on their part. And yes, humans make mistakes, we're all not perfect, but at the same time it did kind of play a little bit funny that they were out there to give her time um after they had lost the titles, but maybe they learned from their mistakes and that was them trying to fix it. And the thing about Tiki is she said during that promo that she is the fire of the island. And the thing is, if she's the fire of the islands, and that means that she's going to be showing more fire in her performances from now on. And that is something that I am definitely here for, because we always say that just because you're nice and just because you're sweet don't mean that you can just push a person around and just think you could just run all over them. Tiki has proven time and time again that she is not to be trifled with and ran over. Okay. So I'm glad that she has tapped into this part of herself and she's beaten someone like Gloria Glitter in this way. Like, it was just really, really good to see that from her. And I hope that we see more of that, in the future, because she did a phenomenal job here. And I can't wait to see more of that, and it was great. So she's very confident. Someone who isn't confident at this point, though, is Gloria Glitter, who we did see, storm backstage after her loss. And she was talking to Candy Crush, who noticed that she was very exasperated. And she was just like, huh, that bad, huh? And Gloria was like, yeah, like, have you ever felt like the whole world is against you? And then Candy was like, yep, it was that bad. And then Gloria was like, yeah. And then Candy said, here again, throwing shade at Princess Aussie, well, at least you didn't have anyone trying to show you helpful tips. And when you didn't ask for it. And I'm just like, girl, when are you gonna let that go? Um and then Gloria was like, are you kidding me? If I saw Tiki Chamorro backstage, she'd be so enthusiastic and ready to help right now, even with her whole wannabe bad girl vibe that she's got. And then Candy was like laughing and said, well, what is that? Like, can you imagine Tiki as a bad girl? You know what? Forget them. Forget their positive attitude and their helpful tips. You're the freaking queen of cardio, the queen of the ring, and the toughest opponent that I've ever had. Let's get those pulses up. And then both girls yelled, "Let's go!" at each other. And I have never felt such irritation the way that I felt at this point. Because why? Now I understand Candy is upset. I understand she's angry at things and not happy about the way things have gone. But at the same time, it's just really weird for me. And the thing about Gloria Glitter is we've seen her backstage on two separate occasions now since she's lost two matches. We've seen her talk about having like asking people for advice, like Coach Campanelli and like Candy Crush. A part of me wants to know, like, why isn't she so confident in her abilities at this point? Because she is a dang good wrestler. And it just seems like Gloria is always looking for outside validation somehow. My thing is, if you're running a whole gym and if you're doing all this, cool stuff, then why are you always seeking outside validation? You need to go inward and find like inward validation. And the fact that you're, looking for it is now feeding into the insecurities of Candy Crush at this point, who is just angry that things aren't going her way, angry at Princess Aussie, and now she's projecting everything onto her. And it's just not healthy. And I just really, really hate it. But Katrina, how do you feel about this weird, unholy alliance that we're seeing between Gloria Glitter and Candy Crush?
Yeah, it made me sad. I know, you know, your boyfriend likes Gloria, and that's fine and well. She's cool, but with regard to Candy, I feel like we were pretty supportive of her from the very beginning. When she told the story, what got her into wrestling, her background, and even this season, because outside of more recently, she was also undefeated for quite some time. She was the only other person that was undefeated outside of Adriana, and so to have a couple of matches and you feel this, I don't know. I feel like it's such a sharp turn, and every friendship I feel might go through some down periods, or you might not see eye to eye. But I think a good friendship, you kind of try to figure out what the problem is, or you figure out what if there's some differences, how do we fix differences. And I didn't particularly like that it was almost blamey to an extent, like it was some blame there. Like that's not her fault, she was dealing with her own nonsense. To be fair, quite a bunch of nonsense. You actually had a better, go at some of the more recent stuff than she had, because you were winning. You were winning almost every week. You were the one, going through all the newest debutees, the newest people on the roster. You were the ones they were going to first. And so to kind of have the whole like, there's it's a weird thing to me. And again, I'm a loyal person, maybe loyal to a fault. And so I'm more, if there's an issue with me, I would hope to hear it from you directly. I don't want to have to, oh man, I'm backstage and oh, this what you feel. Well, that kind of sucks because you couldn't tell me. Like, I'm a person you kind of have to tell me. I would rather hear it from you, the horse's mouth, as it says, because that's how I am. If I truly have a problem, I'm gonna tell you I have this issue. If I talk about it somewhere else, it's probably because I'm like beyond upset by this point. But I will tell you that's just how I work. And so I didn't particularly like that. I was like, oh no, I don't do that. I don't do that. Like we gotta be good, be a good friend. And I feel like even if you felt that it was a little bit off, she again didn't really have, as I said not too long ago, she truly had her short end of the stick. She has been, I feel like, again, everything hasn't just been great since she became the champion and then lost it. Everything kind of been funny for her. It wasn't as peachy keen. She didn't have it like how Penelope had a chance to have it, when she was champion. She's not even getting as lucky as Abilene is, because she got the hoop, all the confetti and all that. She even got that when she won it. Something Princess Aussie did not get. I feel like, I think this shouldn't be a conversation or something. It shouldn't be the weird, oh, I'm gonna team up, because I'm annoyed because both of you guys kind of, at least in your regard, it was like, yeah, you lost the last few matches, but it's not terrible because you were winning this whole time previously. You were the people everybody was coming to, including Gloria. And so I don't know, kind of weird. Personally, I don't like stuff like that. So I was like, no, like, okay, what's going on in this episode? I'm not liking this weird energy I'm getting. I don't like the frenemies, mean girls type vibes. That's not my vibe. Like, let's be upfront about stuff. So it made me sad. It did.
Yeah, it made me sad too because my thing is I prefer communication as well because first of all, Candy hasn't said anything to Princess Aussie more about her feelings since she lashed out at her. And my thing is, yes, like I said earlier, we are all human and we do lash out and have our bad moments. But I feel like if you really care, for the friendship, which clearly she's showing that she does, because otherwise, if she didn't care, she wouldn't be talking as much about it. If you really care about how Princess Aussie made you feel, then you would come up to her and actually talk to her as an adult and not do this catty stuff and talk behind her back about it, even though it's really not behind her back because y'all are on television and I'm sure at some point you'll see it. But it's just, yo, like, don't talk about me behind my back to somebody else. I need you to actually be upfront with me, and if you're not going to be upfront with me, then maybe we don't need to be friends no more. That's just how I feel about it. And it's just like I feel like Candy is really acting out of pocket and out of character. Like, she's usually a nice person, and yeah, sometimes when you get angry and you don't want people to trash you or whatever, it makes you act crazy and act mean and dark sometimes. But ma'am, this is not who you are. So I'm gonna need for her to chill. And the fact that Gloria, who is really good and everything, is now following her lead is just not good at all either. It's just not cute. It's not cute at all. And I'm gonna need for Gloria to actually go and actually find some validation within herself and stop trying to look for others for validation when she knows that deep down inside she is that girl, and she needs to actually, do some aerobics on her own and figure herself out. Okay, like, you don't have to seek out outside validation because at the end of the day, you have to be present for yourself. In these matches, you can't be looking for Coach Campanelli to give you encouragement and a pat on the back all the time. You can't be looking for Candy Crush to be doing that stuff all the time. I'm saying this because this is a lesson that I've had to learn myself. You have to be present for you. And she needs to learn to be present for herself because they got their own problems. Everybody's got their own problems. What are you going to do when all you got is yourself? So I'm gonna need for Gloria to put on her big girl britches and be real. So after that, we go backstage and we hear a whole lot of trash talking from the mother truckers who are hyping themselves up for the main event match. And this was really good here. They were just saying they were gonna make Penelope Pink and Vickie Lynn McCoy say honk honk and basically beat up on them and everything. So that was really all there was of that little segment right there. And then we got an update on the trios tournament. So since Exile won their last match, they are in the finals of the trios tournament. So now we will be able to finish out the semifinals this coming weekend when Team Spirit takes on the Brat Pack, and that is of course BK Rhythm, Gigi Gianni, and Lil J Boogie, and of course Coach Campanelli is taking Ariel Sky's place, so they're gonna continue with that match to see who's gonna go on to the finals and go on to win the trios tournament. So that's gonna be good. And also this coming weekend we have the return of Holiday. Speaking of Black excellence, Holiday is coming back to fulfill her call of violence, and she takes on a newbie of WoW in terms of Goldie Collins. And she is somebody who is very active on social media and she shares a lot of our stuff. So shout out to Goldie Collins. Thank you for the love that you show us on social media every time we post something involving WoW, or even not even WoW. You share it and you show yourself to be a really great fan of wrestling. So it's really great that you do that and support us. And we can't wait to see you in action this weekend against Holiday, the WoW OG. So this leads us into our main event, which is Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag, the Mother Truckers, versus Vickie Lynn McCoy and Penelope Pink. And of course, Lana Starr is out there. And the Carlson twins, the WoW Tag Team Champions, are on commentary with Nigel Zane and David McLane. And this was really interesting because Vickie Lynn was talking all that trash about not being cleared to compete or whatever, but she was out there fighting with that neck brace on. And then eventually she wound up taking it off as they continued to take advantage of Holly Swag being isolated from her mother, Big Rig Betty. And throughout this match, or at least from the beginning half of the match, the Mother Truckers ran in and they were ready to fight immediately. They were knocking down Vickie Lynn, knocking down Penelope Pink. But of course, once Penelope Pink found her footing, like she always does in every match, due to my irritation, whatever, um, she proceeded to beat up on Holly Swag, give her multiple forearms to the chest and to the head and everything, choke her out with her boots and whatnot, and then of course using Lana Star as a means of attack and everything to get the upper hand and isolate her from her mother. And it was so frustrating. Excuse me. It was so frustrating to the point to where I was just wondering, like, is Holly gonna ever get to tag her mom in? Like, it was bad. And every time she tried to mount a comeback, Penelope would always knock her down further. And then when she tagged in Vickie, of course, playing the powerhouse role, was just slamming and throwing Holly Swag all around. And then, like I said, she took off her neck brace to show that she wasn't really injured as bad as she thought she was. And now she's healed and everything. So as they continued to fight and destroy Holly Swag, it was just getting really hopeless at a certain point. And then Betty would try to get the referee's attention and try to bulldoze in, but the ref kept trying to block her off. And this made me wonder, at what point are the good guy teams going to understand that when they try to bulldoze their way in, the referee is going to be distracted and the other team is going to take advantage of it? Like, I want them to understand that, because it's just like, you're not helping them. Like, they're being illegal and you're distracting them from seeing it. Like, stop. But finally Holly was able to get the upper hand and tag in her mother, who came in with a hot clothesline onto Vickie Lynn McCoy and Penelope Pink, and everybody was just fighting each other, and it was really cool. There was just so much hot action going on. And then, due to some miscommunication on Penelope Pink hitting Vickie Lynn McCoy, the Mother Truckers were able to hit their finishing moves and win the match. So they won. The Mother Truckers got the victory. But in the midst of them celebrating their victory, Miami Sweet Heat, the Wild Tag Team Champions, attacked them from behind, and all of the Fab Four beat up on them and left the ring, to prove that they are those girls and that nobody could really defeat them and that they're just beneath them and all of the above. And David McLane, here again, picking and choosing when he wants to enforce the law, comes in on the microphone and announces the Mother Truckers as the winner in terms of his endorsement, and says that the Mother Truckers will be getting a tag team title match later on in the coming weeks. So this is amazing for them because they have never had an opportunity at the WoW tag team titles as long as they've been on WoW. And they should have gotten it to begin with, with that match going the way it did, with the Fab Four interfering with those broken mirrors and stuff. So they'll finally get their chance at the gold, and they will get their chance to dethrone Miami's Sweet Heat. And that's how this episode of WoW ended. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this main event and the announcement that David McLane made on behalf of the Mother Truckers?
About time, David. David has been doing shenanigans for me all season, where he just been letting certain things slide, and I was not particularly happy with David in that regard. Like, so about time, not only did he make this match, but he pretty much put it out there as they should have gotten it anyway before Miami Sweet Heat. Get a tag opportunity. Okay, good, because I don't know what you was doing all these last weeks, and this is not to be mean, David, but let's get this together. I need people to use, like, Steve used to say on Blue's Clues, you put your thinking cap on. You put the cap on and you think logically about how much shenanigans the Fab Four has done in the last 2 seasons. Why did it take all of this? It shouldn't have taken all of this in general. It was just a lot of nonsense. And so I thought, was it smart at first for Penelope and Vickie to kind of keep Holly? Of course it was. That's always, to me, that is always smart tag teamwork kind of isolate the person. It makes it easier that when you get to the next person, it's one less person you may have to worry about for a little bit. And so it's smart. But with Vickie acting like she was like dying to not be, and then it's like these shenanigans right there. Because you gotta have doctors on there like that. You're not checking to make sure she getting healed up in a proper time. Like you're not just saying, oh, she don't have to wrestle. Like I just felt like realistically, like she's saying, well, the doctors didn't clear her, but magically she's fine. Did y'all not check her? Wow, doctors, what's happening? Do y'all not have doctors and payroll? Should we make sure that happens next time? How was she able to pull off this whole time like she was that hurt if she pulled it off? And people like the fake neck brace. Plenty of people have done that over time, but I'm just glad that even with all the shenanigans, they got the win, but now they got a title shot, and hopefully they'll do well. And no shade to the ladies of Miami Sweet Heat, but again, that group in general is just known for shenanigans. It's like about time you guys said something to them because I'm getting tired of y'all just letting things fly. Like, put your foot down, David. You are the person in charge. Stop letting people walk over you. Like I feel like everybody just walking over him and he's just like, whatever. Or he pick and chooses like, no, you're gonna be like this all the time. Be tough, be firm. So, I'm happy for Betty and Holly in that regard that they will get a title shot. Now hopefully they do well. Now if they lose though, with that being said, they do lose and it's no losing like clean, meaning that Miami Sweet Heat doesn't do anything weird during the match, then that would say that they just weren't the better team at that time. But taking advantage of the fact that Vickie and Penelope clearly weren't on the same page, which could be a problem later on, I feel, just because the way those attitudes are in that group. Penelope did think she was the top priority of the group before. She did say this. And so could that be a problem later on? Possibly. But good for Betty and Holly.
Yeah, it's wonderful for Betty and Holly. And honestly, I feel like David McLane does need to put his foot down a little bit more. Maybe he's afraid that the superheroes would hurt him because they're wrestlers and he's not. Maybe that's really what the deal is. He's afraid that they would hurt him if he said something crazy to them. And then, that would just be something that could, end badly for him. And I feel like ultimately, if he's going to feel that way, then maybe he should hire a general manager. A female general manager where he can handle some stuff as the co-owner, but then at the same time he could also defect to someone else and delegate to someone else that they could talk to. Get a female general manager, get a Stephanie McMahon or an Ava or me or you or or anybody really, a female voice that could very well be the general manager and keep all the girls in line so he doesn't so all the shenanigans won't necessarily be at play all the time. Like if that's the case, maybe he really should delegate who's in charge of everything so he won't feel so pressured to get everything together all the time. Maybe that's what needs to happen. But either way, I am happy for Betty and Holly, and I am sort of waiting to see what the dynamic of the Fab Four is even like, because of course, in the start of this iteration of WoW, the Fab Four had all of the gold, and then of course you had Vickie Lynn McCoy, who was sort of just the enforcer, whereas you had Penelope the champion. And I'm wondering if they're gonna go for all the gold this time, or are they just gonna uphold the Carlsons for now. Like I do wonder what exactly that's going to play into at this point, or even if the Tonga twins will even get another chance at the titles again. Like who even knows? But I am excited for where the tag team picture is headed at this point, because the mother truckers should have been had their opportunity. So that's how this episode of WoW ended. So thank you guys so much for watching wherever you guys were watching on. And thank you for continuing to support Steph and Cat Talk WoW as we continue to chart our journey watching WoW superheroes as it continues to grow. Now, of course, for those who may not know how to watch WoW, you can watch it on YouTube the week after. The week after it airs on the weekend, or you can go on wowe.com and search your city, state, or province, or wherever it is you live, or your zip code, and you can see where it airs for you. And I think you can also watch it on Hulu's What I Heard and Pluto TV as well. So you can watch it in those different platforms and continue to support the show. And every time you watch the show, you can come back and watch our post show and watch us talk about it every week. And we come on every Wednesday unless otherwise otherwise stated, to talk about and recap the actions of this show. We are very grateful for all of the interviews that we have had so far. Of course, this month for Black History Month, like we stated earlier, with the Beast, Foxy Fierce, and Keita Rush, we were so honored to have them on for Black History Month. So if you have not watched those interviews already, please go watch them. We had such a great time doing them. And of course, our interviews with the former Wild Tag Team Champions, the Tonga Twins, and Jesse Jones. Watch those interviews as well. Like, we are out here interviewing the women, and it is absolutely amazing. Given where we started from and now where we are, it's just really great that we're getting it cracking on our own and standing on our own 2 feet, or 4 feet in this case. So it's just really great. And, continue to support us in our wrestling things. So, Katrina, thank you, as usual, for joining me to talk about WoW, and just tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can follow me on In Cat We Trust on most social media platforms: TikTok, Threads, Twitter, Instagram, Easy3. I do have a few interviews on my channel, both with the ladies of WoW, but also with some other people. Last one was Alyssa Marino. She's super awesome lady, super nerdy like me, and so I was like, yes, super awesome interview. I do have more interviews coming up actually, and so be on the lookout for that. And for my other videos that will be coming again, it's just been very hectic. It really has been. This has been the most hectic I've been in a very long time. But yeah, check that out. Check out any articles that will be coming out. Also been a bit delayed because again, hectic. But check that out again. And we do, as Steph has said so nicely, we appreciate you guys just for kind of being there with us and supporting. It was very nice to know that even some of the wild ladies, they know who we are, and just from what was a few months ago, just very appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, of course, you can follow me and find me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and X/Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy, and follow the show The Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on X/Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. And of course, buy my merchandise on foryourwear.com. We have a new website coming out, I believe, tomorrow. So please go on there and buy my merchandise, my Alabama wrestling merchandise, and my Bianca and Montez merchandise as well. And of course, read all of my articles on dailyddt.com. And I will be writing a new article. And I'm really excited about it because it's about something that I'm very passionate about, on a very personal level. So please be on the lookout for that, as well as continuing to support the Hardy Wrestling Podcast as I do my regular episodes. HWP Extra, because WrestleMania season is about to really pop off, because March is on the horizon, so I might start new content with that. And of course, continue to support Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And of course, if you're looking for any girl to be your color commentator for your wrestling events, book me, DM me, email me, and we can talk about rates and we can get it cracking. I am open to travel. I can travel anywhere. So please, if you want to book your girl, please book your girl and just email or DM me, because I am willing to work, and I'm still trying to become the first Black woman to commentate on either TNA, WoW, or WWE. So we're gonna try and make that happen if it's in the Lord's will. So, with that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye y'all, and happy Black History Month and Leap Day. But Black History is forever. But bye y'all.